Graduation weekend this coming weekend here at the University of Virginia. This is the first graduation weekend in a long time for the community. Following a 2-year hiatus due to the pandemic, finals weekend, graduation weekend returns to its traditional format this weekend. So get ready, Charlottesville. The brouhaha starts Thursday evening and goes through Sunday. We'll talk about that today on the I Love CVille show. We got a big time restaurant that's for sale in the community. We'll let you know which one. We will talk Frank Bailiff buying Dr. Charles Hurt's Scottsville Holdings today on the program. That's big time news. Big time news. 37 parcels the sale includes. Frank Bailiff, Southern Development, buying Dr. Charles Hurt and Virginia Land Company's Town of Scottsville Holdings. A lot we're going to cover on that topic today on the program. Specialized Bicycle, the big brand Specialized, the manufacturer of bicycles, has purchased Carytown Bicycle Shop, a 3-location bicycle brand that started in Carytown, Richmond. That topic on today's show. Uber has got a lot of updates that it's just released for its app. We'll let you know what those updates are and how they could impact the local market. Those topics and more on today's program. Give it a like, give it a share anywhere you're watching. This show's going to be sizzling. Judah, we can rock when you're ready. Guys, good Monday afternoon. I'm Jerry Miller. Welcome to the I Love CVille show. Thank you kindly for joining us. We are live in Charlottesville, across Albemarle County, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world on the I Love CVille network. It's great to be with you. A lot of topics on the Monday edition of the show. I'll recap the 231 Festival yesterday at Castle Hill. I went there, had a blast, my son and I, on a Daddy Sunday. 231 Festival just was a melting pot of positivity in Keswick. We'll highlight the 231 Fest today on the program. We got Firehouse subs for sale. You heard me correctly. Firehouse subs on Route 29 for sale. Asking price $330,000 for the business. No real estate included. Furniture, fixtures, and equipment, and the franchise rights included for the $330,000 Firehouse subs asking price. Graduation weekend is this weekend in Charlottesville. The pomp, the circumstance, the brouhaha start Thursday evening and run through Sunday. Charlottesville, get up, get ready, and giddy up for graduation weekend. The first traditional graduation weekend for Charlottesville, Virginia in more than 2 years. The pandemic has put a downer on graduation weekend for 2 years in Charlottesville. Scott Aaronworth, Judah, get that 2-shot ready to go. He asked you, why do you stay quiet on the set? We want to know. Well, that's when we know to start the program. And the mics are going hot, Scott, our favorite attorney in Virginia Beach. I'd say that's one of the main reasons we do that, right, Judah? It's to let our guests know when the show's about to rock.
Yeah, not to let them know that the mics are hot, because the mics are already hot when the show goes up on Facebook Live. But we switch over from the intro reel that just kind of rolls and rolls and rolls to the like very, very right before the show starts reel.
Yeah, it's our way of letting folks know on the panel that the show is going to get going.
Yeah. if anybody is in here in the studio, they might not know that that's the point where we all be quiet for 5 or 6 seconds and then get the show rolling.
Did you have a good weekend? Did
Yeah.
you make it to the 231 Fest?
No, it was.
You had tickets on the house, pro bono,
I had a lot going
and
on.
a chance to bring your family to the 231 Fest, courtesy of our friends at Castle Hill and MJ.
I had a lot going on, and where I was, there was a lot of rain going on, so it just didn't seem feasible at the time.
This is a good way to start. My son and I went to the festival. My wife was playing in a pickleball tournament in Poundsy Track and outside Richmond yesterday. So it was Sundays, the last day of the week or the first day of the week, depending on how you look at the calendar, is Daddy-Son Day. Also happens to coincide on Sundays. And we played some squash, we got some lunch together, some breakfast together, went to the 231 Fest. It was great to see so many folks in food and beverage, in hospitality, kind of in that wine space, wedding space, beer space, live music, food truck space, all together again at a beautiful location. I mean, Castle Hill was as gorgeous as I've ever seen it. Beer with Patch Brewery and Champion, Mary Mill and Keswick Vineyards, some wine, cider from Castle Hill, live music from so many different local bands, food trucks, Angelique's was out there, Philosopher's Stone Pizza was out there. It was a great time. Spring has sprung, and so many merchants are itching to get out and about and just celebrate what we love about this community, and that's really connecting with people. Aaron King, hello, welcome to the show. 231 Fest, hugely impactful. And I'll say this, that corridor of Albemarle County goes into Orange County some, dude, it's gonna crush it. I mean, having Patch there as a brewery component to that corridor really adds diversity, and the booming nature of Gordonsville is really making that Route 231 little area as an appealing another option to consider to Route 151 in Nelson. 151, obvious reasons why it captures the tourism interest in dollars. You got breweries galore, and many of these breweries have phenomenal restaurants associated with them. Blue Mountain Brewery is a good example. Devil's Backbone is a good example. You go to Base Camp at Devil's Backbone, now DB, of course, owned by Anheuser-Busch and InBev. But you go to Devil's Backbone, you know you're going to have good food and good beer. They also have liquor, spirits, wine. Blue Mountain, the same thing. With Patch coming to 231 in Keswick, you now have the beer component, and you now have a little bit more diversity with 231. Mary Mill Farm is another very good addition to the 231 corridor. Mary Mill has food that it serves. Not only does it have this very eclectic and like gorgeous design component. I mean, have you guys been to Mary Mill Farm yet? You're looking at one of the most beautiful and eclectic interior designs of any venue in Central Virginia, Mary Mill. They also serve food. Patch is going to cater to the masses with the beer side of things and the fact that it has this great indoor-outdoor setting. And then you have stalwarts like Keswick and Castle Hill, and you can see why 231 is booming right now. So I was very pleased to see 231 well represented yesterday. I thought the Castle Hill team, MJ and her club and her program and her fantastic group of talent just did a hell of a job on the festival yesterday. My son enjoyed it, Dad enjoyed it, the rain held out, all around good times. All around good times. Now, I want to get to some topics on today's program. Firehouse Subs is for sale. I'm getting this question a lot. Jerry, why are so many businesses for sale now? Everywhere we're watching and listening or following I Love Seville or checking on the show, we're hearing of a business for sale. I want to throw caution to the wind. I don't think we're seeing more businesses that are for sale now. I think what we're seeing is a very far-reaching and influential brand, I Love Seville, highlighting this little space, this little marketplace a little bit more. There's always been businesses that have been for sale. They just have been chatted about or marketed or transacted in much more DL fashion, much more discreet fashion. What we're trying to do with I Love Seville, and it's having success, is we're attracting a lot more eyeballs to the businesses that have hit the for sale market. A new one we're highlighting today is Firehouse Subs. It's a franchise. Route 29, Judah, you know where that's located?
Yeah, that's over by the D whatever shoes, DSW.
DSW. Yep.
And behind what is now Red Crab.
Okay. Yeah, the seafood chain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Smaller seafood chain. Certainly not.
Have you been?
Yeah, I went
You
once.
been to Red Crab?
Yep.
Never told me that. How was that experience?
It's not bad. It's more. It's less of the. It's absolutely nothing like Red Lobster. It's more of a like almost like a seafood boil style. You order by like you can order a pound of crab or a pound of shrimp or a pound of whatever, and then you get you get like the steamed potatoes and corn with it, and then you can like mix and match. You can get like 3 or 4 different like crab and shrimp
So you had a
and
blast.
lobster. Yeah, it's not bad.
Kevin Higgins, I missed you at 2:31. He said, JM, I yelled your name at 2:31 Fest and you walked by me with your son. I was waiting on oysters from Salty Bottom Blue and couldn't track you down. Good call on promoting this event. It was a great time. My family loved it. I missed you, Kevin Higgins. I would have loved to have seen you and introduced your family to my son. I'm sorry I missed you. I really did like Salty Bottom Blue Oyster. The live music that was being played there at 2:31 Fest was fantastic. And yes, it was a great time. And speaking of Firehouse Subs, the $330 asking price includes furniture, fixture, and equipment, as well as the franchise rights for a location that generated more than $1 million in sales in 2021. So again, I want to highlight this. It's not that it's more businesses that are being for sale now. I think it's just we're highlighting them, and you have an influential brand highlighting these listings more so than ever. The latest one to hit the market is Firehouse Subs, a $330 ask, $1 million in gross last year. Time will tell if this one transacts, but I found it curious that this quick serve restaurant is now purchasable. That's certainly news that I wanted to relay to you. Another iota of news that I find fascinating is the return of finals weekend. For 2 years, UVA has had a hybrid or virtual graduation weekend. Now graduation weekend returns to its traditional format, and it starts Thursday night. The ceremonies were virtual in 2020, and in 2021, graduates proceeded from the lawn to ceremonies held in Scott Stadium. So it's really been 2 years of not having traditional ceremonies in Charlottesville. I want to highlight this. Graduation weekend is probably as impactful a weekend for local businesses as any in the calendar year. I mean, are you back on a 2?
Yeah, we're on the 2.
What can challenge graduation weekend?
I'm not sure. I mean,
For
I don't
driving
know.
local GDP.
I don't know the numbers of students that graduate in 1 year, but imagine, I would say probably maybe half of their families,
Yeah.
coming into town, getting hotel rooms, eating out at restaurants. I mean, that's got to be a major weekend. like you said, the biggest weekends that we see here in Charlottesville in terms of money coming into
Local business.
yeah.
I mean, you got your 6, 7 home football games. Graduation weekend is going to trump the 6 or 7 home football games.
Yeah.
All the home basketball games, graduation would trump. What weekend or what circumstance of events, viewers and listeners, can beat graduation weekend on positive impact for local business, driving customers to local business? Can you think of anyone? Anyone, viewers and listeners, Vanessa Parkhill, curious of your take. Kevin Higgins, I'm curious of your take. Aaron King, Scott Aaronworth, I'm curious of your take. MJ Arquette, it was absolutely our pleasure to work alongside you. She's watching. She says, thank you all for your support, Jerry and Judah. We so appreciate the coverage and your attendance yesterday as well, Jerry. My son had a blast. He had an absolute blast, MJ. And Kevin Higgins, who's watching the program, he said his family had a blast too. Kevin adds, Mary Mill Farm and Vineyard had the best table white wine I have ever had, a discovery I made at 231 Fest. I highly recommend anyone going to this festival and future iterations. I mean, I can't, it's got to be graduation weekend, right, J-Dubs?
I would think. I can't imagine.
What else you put up there?
Oh, man. I mean, first night, maybe, but not in the last few years. I mean, I don't know if it was ever nearly as big
New Year's
as.
Eve is first night, right?
Yeah. I don't know if it was ever nearly as big as.
Tom
graduation
Festival? Graduation
Maybe.
weekend's got to be Tom Festival, right?
I would think.
I mean, because Tom Festival was much more a downtown.
Yeah, and it's
centric
more of a
event.
local thing. I mean, I don't know. I haven't heard of. I mean, I could be wrong, but are hotels filling up when?
That's a great point. Tom is much more localized
Yeah.
than folks visiting from outside the area. Lauren says, how about students returning back to school weekend? I'll give her that one. You know, are the two biggest, I'm very curious about this. Good call, Lauren. The two biggest weekends for Charlottesville and Albemarle County over the course of one calendar year. We'll say graduation weekend number 1. Students returning back to grounds with their families, moving in. I'll put that in the 2 slot.
Yeah, I would definitely. I'd put that in a far down below 2 spot though,
But
because
clearly 2 slot though.
because if you think about it, with graduation, you've got not just like parents, but you've got potentially cousins, aunts, uncles, things like that. Whereas with students coming back to school in the fall, I would imagine it's mostly just parents that are coming along and helping to move a few things in and eating at a few places and then getting the heck out as quick as they can.
Erin King is watching, marketing director at Feast in the Purple Building. She's a key executive for that company. She says absolutely nothing compares to graduation weekend. She says we have been slammed for the past few weeks for pre-graduation UVA catering. I've already cut off catering orders for this week, as I imagine every other caterer in this area certainly has.
That's great.
That's great. That's great news. I mean, we're happy about that, right?
Mm-hmm, definitely.
All the locally owned businesses deserve it.
Yeah.
Especially coming out of the pandemic.
Well needed infusion of cash.
Capital. Yeah, well said, Judah. So graduation weekend 1, welcome back weekend 2 slot.
Potentially. Yeah.
After that, I would say the 6 or 7 home UVA football games. After that, you have, I would consider a massive drop between 1 and 2, graduation weekend and welcome back weekend. Massive drop between 2 and 3 through 8, the home football games.
Yeah, because I just don't see as many people flying into Virginia for those.
For the home games.
Yeah.
Massive drop between the home games and the home basketball games. You know, if you think about it, the local retailer, the local restaurant, the local mom and pop has got graduation weekend and welcome back weekend. It's got 6 home to 7 home football games. That right there is 8 to 9 of your 52 weekends. That is basically what? close to 20% of the calendar year associated with marquee circle the calendar type of events. Fridays after 5, that calendar certainly drives revenue downtown.
Yeah.
You got roughly, 20 Fridays after 5s? April, May, June, July, August. I'd say maybe 20, part of April there. So get ready, giddy up. I'd say props to the business owners as they start to meet this demand that starts Thursday evening with festivities and goes through Sunday. Now, this is something, what are you going to do for graduation weekend? You going to say stay away?
I'm certainly not going
Is that
near
what you're
UVA.
Stay home? Is that what you're going to do?
Who knows? Depends on the
This
weather.
weekend.
Well, how's the weather looking for this weekend?
Are you a guy that checks the weather every time before he does something? You don't strike me as a weather guy.
I mean, I check the weather if I think I might be doing something. And I was certainly aware of the weather this weekend because of the 231 Fest and because of
I was looking for you.
the car show, the
I
poor
know.
car show. Oh man.
Back-to-back Saturdays, the Guest Realty Partners car show at Barracks Road's been postponed.
Yeah, that's been a shame.
It has been a shame. I know Chris Eagle and Josh Griffin have worked hard on that.
Yeah, no doubt.
Firehouse subs, you got to take on Firehouse, $330,000 asking price.
It's expensive, but I mean, if you've got if they're making $1 million a year, then
$1 million gross.
it's not going to take you all that long to recoup. But yeah, it's a big ask. I don't know, if somebody's willing to take that on, great.
Kevin Higgins says Alumni Weekend, Spring Foxfields, Memorial Day weekend with King Family's first polo match. They have to be in the top 20. Those are good calls, Kevin.
Yeah.
I'll put Alumni Weekend in there. And the good thing about Alumni Weekend is there's multiple ones, depending on your class. I mean, these are one of the many reasons why there's economic insulation in the Charlottesville and Central Virginia area.
Yeah.
I mean, look at these, I don't want to call them hallmark moments. I mean, there are times on the calendar where I feel like, you got Valentine's Day, and you got Father's Day, and then you got Mother's Day, and you got these days that are critically important.
Yeah, I think they affect different parts of the economy, though. For instance, Mother's Day, you've got, there are certain restaurants that are going to be getting a lot more business. Then you've got people like Hedge Fine Blooms, who was on Today y Mañana recently, and anyone else who's doing flowers is doing massive business for Mother's Day. Obviously, they're not doing nearly that type of business when Father's Day rolls around, and Father's Day, you probably have people going to a lot more steak places than they do on Mother's Day. So I think it's.
My wife likes steak.
I didn't say she doesn't, but that doesn't mean she's going to pick a steak place to go to eat on Mother's Day.
I wasn't sure if you're doing some culinary stereotyping.
No, I wasn't being sexist. I was just saying that I would imagine that there are different choices.
Neil Williamson says this: graduation weekend is tops in every town and gown. Charlottesville hotels are regularly at capacity on weekends in Charlottesville. The CACVB needs to focus energy on midweek travelers. Homecoming weekends are also big. For the midweek travel, Neil Williamson, great comment. Let's give him some props. The midweek travel has been the plight of most town and gowns. Town and gowns, a town where a university is in it. I just don't ever see Charlottesville and Albemarle County becoming this midweek epicenter until, and granted, I know one of them is in the works, we got to get a convention center
I was just going to say, music, it would be so big in this town. I've often wondered why we don't see more large acts.
Midweek?
Anytime. I mean, look at any look at any band's big look at any big band's tour calendar. They're not just playing gigs on Saturday and Sunday.
That's true.
And I look at it and I'm like, oh, let's see. You just watch it go around the country and completely skip Virginia. Like,
What do you attribute that to? We got legit venues. John Paul Jones is a legit venue. Can't always get that midweek during the basketball season, but certainly can get that midweek 3 seasons a year.
I mean,
2.5 seasons a year.
Is it just that they're worried about selling enough tickets there?
I think that's what it is. I mean, they'd have midweek concerts if they could sell the tickets here, especially with a stakeholder and influencer like Warren Capshaw and Red Light here.
Yeah.
I think it's got to be sold, tickets sold. And to add to the midweek difficulty of attracting people from outside the area, like if you wanted to go after that Fortune 100, Fortune 200, just call it Fortune 500 business of having retreats and employee conventions or like masterminds or rebuilds, where are you going to host them?
Yeah.
We don't have the convention piece here. Now, I know University of Virginia is trying to change that with a newly constructed convention center in the cards, but my understanding is that very much is going to be a convention center that the University of Virginia holds close to the vest. And it's not so much going to be a municipality or multi-jurisdictional type of convention center. Mm-hmm. So midweek, I would highlight the need for convention center space. And I would very much encourage the CACVB, who just, if you check the news, they got hundreds of thousands of dollars in Rescue Act money that's about to come their way. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. I would very much encourage the CACVB to create a marketing strategy or plan that not only is attracting tourists nationally or globally, but the trips that I feel my family's friends are most comfortable taking are the regional trips, where it's kind of like long weekend.
Right.
Or a state over. Like, I understand a lot of folks still have COVID hesitation. And that COVID hesitation might be best managed if it was take this trip within driving distance. You're not necessarily getting on a plane.
Yeah.
And it's in close proximity to your current hometown. I would love to see a CACVB have a strong marketing campaign and approach to regional tourism as much as national tourism. You see where I'm getting at there?
Yeah. People from Northern Virginia.
Mid-Atlantic.
Yeah.
I'd love to see Mid-Atlantic tourism prioritized by the CACVB. And here's the story. I'll read it to you guys. The Charlottesville Albemarle Convention and Visitors Bureau has received funding to help the tourism industry recover from the COVID-19 pandemic. $660,000 is coming from the American Rescue Act plan through the Virginia Tourism Corporation. $660K is a lot for the CACVB and building a marketing and advertising campaign to attract tourism to this area. Now, here's an interesting story that should be mindful or matter to you. Friend of the program is Nancy Gill. Nancy Gill is the former mayor of the town of Scottsville. She comes on the show all the time. Nancy Gill's got a good little brand that she's built up called the James River Exchange. And her most recent James River Exchange podcast, she highlighted something that's flying under the radar. And what's flying under the radar is Frank Bailiff, the principal of Southern Development. He has purchased Dr. Charles Hurt, the principal of Virginia Land Company. Frank Bailiff has purchased Dr. Hurt's Scottsville Holdings, 37 parcels, almost 288 acres across those 37 parcels.
30% of Scottsville's landmass.
You saw that?
That's pretty wild, yeah.
That's wild, right?
Yeah.
That's not being discussed yet. It's not really on social. It's not in any of the legacy media. 30% of Scottsville's landmass just traded. Bailiff buying from Dr. Charles Hurt. 28 parcels at Mink Creek Estates, 146 acres at the Paulette Tract, 11 plus acres Overlook Heights, nearly 19 acres at Upper Bird, over 41 acres at Lower Bird, plus 3 parcels that equal about an acre at Stony Point, Paulette Town. The appraised value of all this land is over $2.8 million. The sales price is undisclosed, although that will become public record as everything gets registered and finalized. So Frank Bailiff, the founder and president of Southern Development Homes and Southern Development Group, located here in Charlottesville, buys 288 acres from his mentor and former employer, Dr. Charles Hurt and Virginia Land Company. That's a significant turn of events, Judah.
Yeah.
30% of the town. 30% of Scottsville.
Mm-hmm.
Bailiff is a good dude. Southern has a good reputation. You go from Dr. Hurt, who is institutional around here, certainly getting up and, getting older, Dr. Hurt, right? I say that's safe to say. And you see this land, incredibly valuable in Albemarle, now in the hands of Frank Bailiff, considerably younger than Dr. Hurt, and a developer and custom builder that has a strong and positive reputation in the community. You hope to see this land start to get developed and develop sooner than later, so we can get more inventory in the housing ecosystem. But when 30% of Scottsville's landmass, transacts between 2 people and 2 companies, you certainly got to highlight it.
Yeah, no doubt.
So we'll follow that closely as hopefully more inventory hits this market, a strapped inventory market. Kevin Higgins adds this: hotels are popping up everywhere in Charlottesville to address capacity for midweek concerts, host regional sports tourism, and for the conferences that could come to this area. The amount of hotels being built here are not just for the typical visitor or business traveler. I mean, it also comes with the fact that Albemarle and Charlottesville are the second most popular wedding destination on the East Coast. You got Charleston 1, you got the Charlottesville area 2, from a wedding destination standpoint on the Eastern Seaboard. And he's right. I mean, on certain popular wedding weekends, hotels on the weekend can get into $500 or $600 an evening. And I'm not talking about the luxury suites at the hotels. I'm talking about the entry price points. So we can certainly use more hotels in this area. That's for certain. And if you want a good talking point and something to follow, you follow Bailiff Frank buying 288 acres from Dr. Charles Hurt, 30% of Scottsville's landmass, in a deal that has an appraised value of $2.8 million plus. Let's follow closely to see what transaction price is, and let's also follow closely to see how this influences development and new rooftops in southern Albemarle County. We had Josh White on Real Talk with Keith Smith this morning, and Josh White said, Scottsville area, that's going to be the next Crozet. That's what his prediction was.
Scottsville, the next Crozet. That's
The only issue I have with that, I love Scottsville. Love Scottsville area. And I very well could see how it could become the next Crozet.
Mm-hmm.
The only slight concern I have with that is Route 20.
That's what I was going to say. You've got a massive,
White Knuckle Road.
giant bottleneck that lasts the entire way.
Yeah, and it's a white knuckle drive, especially with a tractor trailer on there of some capacity.
Yeah. Well, my big problem is when you're going out there and you've got, you've got the mom in the van going, 5 miles below the speed limit, and all of a sudden you've got a long train of cars.
I'd rather have that than the tractor trailer on my tail. You'd rather be behind the soccer mom 10 miles under?
I'd rather not be behind the soccer mom.
Well, which is the worst case scenario for you? Behind the soccer mom 10 miles and under in the minivan?
Yeah.
Or the tractor trailer on your butt, on your bumper the whole way on 20?
For me,
or a string of tractor trailers coming the other way head on from you.
I haven't run across tractor trailers, and if I had, they wouldn't be on my tail.
How often are you going out to Scottsville? Often?
Not very often.
No.
Maybe 2 or 3 times every, 4 or 5 months. Not very often, but and I usually go in the, I'm usually going out there in the evening, so.
So you don't have the traffic issue.
So it's like, it's not really a bad drive, but all of a sudden when it's going to take you twice as long because you're stuck behind somebody that's just puttering along.
What would encourage you, or what would keep you from moving to Scottsville to live? Because we both know right now, you could sell that crib of yours right now, and you could walk with a pretty penny.
Mm-hmm.
You could walk with a pretty penny. You could take that pretty penny that you have on a house that is essentially in downtown Charlottesville.
Yep.
I mean, you're basically, if someone asks where you're from, would you say basically downtown?
Yeah, I'd say Charlottesville.
You should say Charlottesville. You're basically downtown.
I'm basically on the border of Albemarle, but shoot,
You're on the city line.
I'm like, it takes me like 5 minutes to get close to the downtown mall.
What would keep you from selling what you got there, taking that chunk of change and buying it in Scottsville? Would it be the commute to work?
It would be the commute and knowing that bottlenecked drive is gonna
Route 20.
anytime I'm morning or evening, like as long as I'm not going later than everybody else, I would imagine that I'm getting stuck in a long line of traffic that's probably going a lot slower than the speed limit, and that's just time out of your
How about
out of your day.
amenities? If you lived in the town itself, would amenities keep you from buying there?
I'd have to take a look around. I haven't really wandered around downtown. I mean, I've been
Quite
to.
charming.
Yeah. I mean, I've been on the main street. I've been to James River Brewery. I've gotten food from like one of the Asian places, one of the Italian places.
I mean, you got to ask yourself now, what is Frank Bailiff going to do with the tire plant in Scottsville? I mean, you talk about a massive building right there. Erin King lives in Scottsville, 20 to 25-minute drive from Scottsville on a normal drive to Charlottesville. She works on West Main.
Yeah.
30 minutes if you're stuck behind a Sunday driver. She calls them Sunday drivers.
Right.
If there's an accident, turn around and find another route. Erin King right there. Erin, what's the town need? Frank Bailiff just bought 280 acres in Scottsville. 30% of the Scottsville area, Frank Bailiff just bought from Dr. Hurt. 37 parcels. What's Frank Bailiff need to do with all these parcels he just bought from Dr. Hurt? I mean, doing something with the tire plant is going to be crucial.
Or just turn it into something else.
That's what I'm saying.
Tear it down. You know what I
mean,
think?
you could turn it into like a little office complex epicenter. You could get some of these white collar professionals over there working remotely through ISPs.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't really have a business park.
I think you also need more space for businesses.
I mean, now you got some heavy hitters that have serious skin in the game in Scottsville. You got Gordon and Taylor Sutton with Tiger Fuel, who bought the Food Lion Shopping Center. You got Frank Bailiff and Southern now owning 30% of the landmass. You got two of the most influential companies in Central Virginia in Southern and Tiger Fuel, Southern Development and Tiger Fuel, now with serious skin in the game in Scottsville.
I wonder how much they're communicating with each other, and maybe there are big plans. I mean, if somebody's willing to buy up 30% of the property of the land in Scottsville, I doubt it's just to own the land.
It's not to do a extorting emperor of empty lots Johnny Dewberry thing.
Right.
Bailiff's going to put it in play.
Yeah, he's gotta have some belief in that area and its growth potential.
I mean, right now you got to be as bullish of Scottsville as you've ever been.
Yeah.
You took a guy, Dr. Hurt, who we have a lot of respect for here at the I Love Seville Network, but a guy who pretty much for decades just land banked, owned land and didn't do anything with it.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much. Now selling those holdings, 30% of the land mass, to a guy that is all about action and bailiff. I mean, Scottsville, you got changes a coming. How's the song go?
Changes.
Oh, that was good. Can you do that again? That was fantastic.
No, I can't do it again.
That was excellent. I love when you do that. I love you to do that. Two other items. I want to get one from you on Uber, but I think this is important to get out there. The big bicycle brands are in an arms race, and there's three of them. One of them is Specialized. Specialized, the bike manufacturer. The other bike manufacturer that's in this arms race is Trek. And then the third one is PON, P-O-N Holdings. PON owns Schwinn, Cannondale, and Cervelo. Am I saying that right? Cervelo. So there's three bike brands. Specialized, 1. Trek, 2. And PON Holdings, 3. PON Holdings owns bike brands Schwinn, Cannondale, and Cervelo, however I say that. Anyway, long story short, one of the three bike manufacturers, Specialized, just purchased Carytown Bicycle Company and its 3 Richmond locations. The 3 bike brands, PON Holdings, Trek, and Specialized, became so cash rich during the pandemic. Why? Because we were riding bicycles during the pandemic. We were buying bicycles. People didn't want to take public transportation. They want to drive in cars with strangers.
Yep.
So they got so cash rich, they're now buying 2, 3, 4, and 5 unit local chains. And we just saw this happen last week as Carytown Bicycle Company, an institution in Carytown, just sold its business to Specialized, as Specialized is now the new owner of this 3-unit local chain. I'm curious to see if this trend will penetrate the Charlottesville and Albemarle County bicycle ecosystem. I will watch that very closely. There's benefits if your bicycle company gets purchased by a bike manufacturer. It will immediately get you more inventory within the manufacturer's line of units. Now, you're not going to be carrying a ton of other brands, but you will have direct access to the manufacturer. And last topic on the show, I found this fascinating. I'm curious of your take on this. Uber's trying to take over the world. Like literally trying to take over the world. Now Uber, in its quest to be an on-demand smartphone app, is allowing users to book charter transportation, buses, party buses, is allowing users to upload their travel itinerary to the app to help them book rides, is allowing voice ordering, and is becoming an electric vehicle hub for drivers who are trying to do rideshare. So Uber trying to take over the world. The voice booking is now an option. You can upload your itinerary for travel straight to the app. to help you book strategic rides associated with your travel and time. You can book party buses through Uber now. You want to go booze cruising from vineyard to vineyard, brewery to brewery? That party bus can now be booked through an Uber app. And you can also book EVs for yourself personally to drive and to have drivers drive on your behalf through the app. Uber's doing food.
Where are they? Okay, it sounds like they're going to need to massively expand, and not just. I mean, if they're going to do that everywhere, imagine you can rent EV vehicles. I mean, what are they going to be, the next enterprise?
I mean, that's what they want to be.
That's going to require a ton of money to get infrastructure like
Uber wants to
brick and mortars.
Uber wants, not necessarily.
Where are you going to go get your EV?
You rent them from your neighbor. The people know. It's ride share. So you have an electric vehicle. You can list your electric vehicle on the app as a car someone can drive around and pay you a fee.
Do you not see the massive number of lawsuits incoming?
I mean, rideshare is quite common.
Yeah, but rideshare.
You know, people are renting out their pools in their backyard now on an hourly basis. There's apps on your phone where you can say, my house has a swimming pool, and I'll charge $75 an hour for me and you, my wife, our son, to go use the swimming pool 2 blocks away.
That's pretty wild.
You don't go in the house. You just go in the swimming. I mean, you talk about liability. Strangers going to another stranger's house to use their swimming pool unsupervised. I'd say that's more lawsuit ridden than going and using someone's car, getting it in their driveway at their house, and then finish parking it at the grocery store.
There's got to be. I mean, there's got to be a waiver when you use somebody's pool. I mean, it's got to be
they
like
cover their tails.
Yeah, but with EV cars, I don't know. Maybe it'll work. Maybe nobody'll care. Maybe it just seems like that's a lot simpler to deal with when you've got something like budget rental or enterprise, where they can, they've got a crew that's going to clean the car. If you if you left a few wrappers, it's not a big deal. If they need to do some cleanup on the
wrappers.
If you need to,
what kind of wrappers are you talking about over there?
The hip hop kind. No, I'm joking.
Talking sticker bars?
No, I just mean whatever you leave in the car, whatever gets left in the car, whatever mess is made, whatever needs to be cleaned up. Enterprise has a crew that does all that. They might charge you a small fee, when you return the car and it's not fully cleaned up. But what are you going to do when
you can rent your house right now as an Airbnb?
I know.
And you have to clean it.
Okay.
It's no different than an Airbnb.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, it's even less personal than an Airbnb. You're not sleeping in someone's bed, like their personal residence. Uber is now this. Let's talk about vertical integration here. Uber, through the Uber app, you can hail a ride. You can get food delivery with Uber Eats. You can get package delivery. Uber owns Postmates and Uber Eats. You can get package delivery, courier delivery, freight transportation. Through the Uber app, you can book an electric bicycle or a motorized scooter. When we were walking through Carytown 2 weekends ago, my wife, my son, and I, there were scooters all over Carytown. And it said on these scooters, these were Lime scooters. You've seen the Lime brand.
Yeah.
It says, you want to rent this scooter? Use your Uber app. And you can rent and you can activate the scooter. They're freaking taking over the world. You can now upload your itinerary into the app so you can schedule transportation around times and events on that itinerary.
It's interesting.
In crowdsourced fashion. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
You can book a scooter. You can get food, package delivery, electric vehicle ride sharing, heavy freight transportation and delivery. They're trying to take over the world. Here's the question I have for you. Amazon is doing the optimized package delivery. That's Amazon. Isn't that how you would how would you characterize Amazon?
I'm not sure what optimized package delivery
The
means.
most efficient way to send a package. That's essentially Amazon. They have these spaces where you can buy stuff, and they get it to you efficiently. Isn't that the value proposition Amazon's providing you?
Yeah, for
Get
most
stuff fast.
people, I think, is that, yeah, it's, you get your Prime membership and you get stuff within like a couple days.
Uber, its whole value proposition is get somewhere or get stuff fast. Get somewhere, your body, yourself, or get something fast. Amazon's whole value proposition is get something fast. We're not paying the Amazon fee to be Prime members for their video content. That's just an added component that's gravy. The reason we pay for Prime is to get something fast.
Yeah, I would imagine.
The reason we pay Uber is to get somewhere fast. And now Uber's trying to utilize that brand loyalty of get somewhere fast to try to erode market share from Amazon of getting something fast. Now, you're going to say right now Uber's only doing this in food and meal delivery. In my eyes, if they could do food and meal delivery, then they can do anything. Because the food and meal delivery have the shortest shelf life. It better get to you hot and looking and tasting good to justify the price. If it could solve the food delivery, what's going to keep Uber from going after Amazon's market share of get something fast?
What's going to hold them back is going to be what do they call it? Centers. Where they've got all the stuff kept.
Distribution centers.
Distribution centers. Yeah. So what do you like with food? They've got everything.
They go to the restaurant.
Yeah, they know where they're going. They've got I'm sure they've got connections with all the restaurants that they actually deliver from, and if they don't, they can work something out. But if without a distribution center,
That's a fair.
Are they gonna drive to Bed Bath and Beyond? Are they gonna drive to Old Navy and like pick something up for you? I feel like it gets pretty complicated if you're just talking about being able to randomly drop off anything from anywhere. Obviously, it's got to be something in your area. It's got to be something that somehow they've got a connection that your account can be attached to whatever it is you're trying to purchase. I just feel like there are a lot of hoops they'd have to jump through to make bringing you stuff besides food a profitable venture.
Time will tell. I got to imagine Uber's going to go after the get stuff fast value prop.
I think what they would have to do, they would probably have to buy their own distribution centers, and they would have to start they would have to start aggregating what they can send.
They utilize crowdsourcing distribution, where the crowdsourcing distribution is essentially Instacart meets Uber.
They still have to.
Where you go on your app and say, I need these 20 grocery items.
They still have to make a lot of connections before that becomes a viable option.
You go on the app and say, I need these 20 grocery items, and then there's going to be some kind of Uber person, not necessarily an employee, it could be a freelancer, that's crowdsourcing the ask of I need these 20 grocery items, and goes and buys them for you, or gets them for you after you pay for them through the app. Time's going to tell. I mean,
Yeah.
They're obviously going after the get something fast valve prop that Amazon's offering. I'll follow that closely. I'm intrigued by innovation. A couple comments coming in. Vanessa Parkhill, watching in Earlysville. Doing a daily drive from Scottsville might not be too bad if you could commute off-peak. Definitely attractive to remote workers, especially with no kids. I never wanted my kids having a long bus ride every day or after school.
No doubt.
That's well said.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Higgins, my prediction, Uber creates a division for transport to hospitals and clinics that is billable to insurance. One driver drops off, another picks up. Wow. I will add to this. During the pandemic, one of our clients, I won't say which one, was in the transportation business. And this particular client saw their business go down during the pandemic because people didn't need limousines or sedans to get places during the pandemic. So this particular client pivoted their business to transporting doctors associated with organ donating surgeries.
Mm-hmm.
The doctors were transported to surgeries to save organs from people who had checked yes on their organ donor card or their license. So that was something that I found very creative during the pandemic.
Yeah.
All right, that's the Monday edition of the show. Judah Wickower is his name. Jerry Miller's my name. The two big pieces of business that came up during today's show, graduation weekend is this weekend. The second big piece of business, Firehouse Subs is for sale for $330,000. And the final big piece of business that came up today, Frank Bailiff now owns 30% of Scottsville's landmass after acquiring nearly 288 acres from Dr. Charles Hurt of Virginia Land Company. Now Frank Bailiff's company, Southern Development, is very much going to craft the vision and future brand and landscape that we call Scottsville through this purchase. We'll follow it closely. That's the I Love Seaville show. I'm Jerry Miller. Take care.